today we are really diving headfirst into, well, the genuinely unknown. We've got a stack of YouTube sources, some great analysis from Notebook LM, and we're using it all to break down the really meticulous investigation methods of MUFON.
That's right. MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. They're basically the biggest organization out there dedicated to trying to solve these UAP mysteries.
And our mission here is pretty clear. We want to cut through all the noise surrounding UAP's unidentified aerial phenomena. We're going to examine the precise, sometimes, painstaking processes they use.
They're the world's largest civilian ufology group, yeah. And if there's one number you take away from this whole deep dive, remember this: 93%.
93%. That's huge.
It really is. That's their approximate success rate in explaining reported sightings. So we're looking beyond the sensational stuff and focusing on the serious fact-finding. We've got details from MUFON investigators, but also from JIPAN in France.
JIPAN being the official French state agency, right?
Exactly. We want to know what actually happens when a report comes in. What's the process? And crucially, what separates a simple mistake, a misidentification, from something that, well, remains genuinely unexplained?
And we should probably clarify some language first. The sources, especially the European ones, use slightly different terms. We often say UFO or UAP here. But some French sources use pan-phenom aerospatio not identified.
Which basically translates to non-identified aerospace phenomena. It's broader, not just objects.
Right. And they also mention OANI for underwater stuff.
Yeah, observation aquatique, non-identifié, unidentified aquatic observation covers those submerged sightings or things moving between air and water, and apparently those reports are increasing.
Okay, so let's get into the investigators themselves. These two very different structures, MUFON and JIPAN.
You really have to understand the contrast. MUFON is this massive civilian network founded way back in '69 in the U.S. Midwest.
Wow, that long ago.
Yeah, and it's genuinely global now. Over 4,600 members operating in 50 countries. MUFON France, for instance, actually oversees Belgium, Switzerland, and Portugal, too.
The thing that really struck me was the commitment level they expect from their volunteers, the ufologists. It's not just casual interest.
No, definitely not.
They have to pay a fee, like $60, buy this detailed investigator manual, and then pass a test, an actual test with an 80% pass mark.
Right. They get trained, tested, supervised. They treat it like a serious, almost scientific field.
Which is quite different from JIPAN.
Totally different. JIPAN is the official French state body. It's part of CNES, the National Center for Space Studies down in Toulouse.
And they use professional staff, right? Not volunteers.
Yeah, like 4 engineers and scientists on staff last we checked. And that official connection gives them a huge advantage MUFON doesn't have.
How so?
Well, think about it. If a MUFON investigator wants air traffic data, they might run into roadblocks. But JIPAN, they can just call the Air Force or major airports or astronomical observatories directly. They get official verification fast.
Okay. But doesn't that raise a question? If they're a state agency linked to the government, could that make them lean towards debunking things? Maybe there's pressure to find a conventional answer, keep things calm.
That's exactly the tension the sources point out. Ufologists sometimes criticize JIPAN for maybe focusing too much on finding any conventional explanation.
Whereas UFON, being independent, maybe has less skin in the game if they conclude unknown.
Potentially. But what's consistent across both, really, is the rigor they try to apply. And that brings us back to that incredible number, the 93% explanation rate.
Right. So MUFON gets roughly 10,000 cases a year, give or take. And they manage to explain about 9,300 of them.
Which is powerful evidence, really. It shows the vast majority of what people see aren't, secret alien craft or even hoaxes. They're just mistakes.
Yeah.
Genuine mistakes.
So what are these 93% usually? What are the common culprits?
Well, it's fascinating. Mostly genuine misidentifications. The classic stuff like Venus looking weirdly bright or other stars.
Or people just not understanding aircraft lights.
Exactly. The standard red and green navigation lights, the anti-collision strobes. People aren't always familiar with those patterns, especially from odd angles or distances.
And I guess nowadays, drones are a big factor.
Huge factor. And things like tie lanterns, those fire-powered sky lanterns. Plus, yeah, military and civilian drones are everywhere now. Some are really sophisticated, like the Reaper Q1 surveillance drone mentioned in the sources. Big things, easy to misidentify at night.
So as the skies get more crowded with our own tech, the pool of truly unknown things should shrink, theoretically.
You'd think so. And the key to sorting it all out is their investigation method. It's pretty intense.
How does it start? Someone calls in a sighting? Then what?
First, they build a detailed witness profile. Education level, social status, that kind of thing. Not just for stats, but crucially, for confidentiality.
Anonymity is key, right? People worry about ridicule or even job repercussions.
Absolutely. The sources confirm that. Talking about seeing a UAP can have real social consequences, so anonymity is vital. Then comes the questionnaire.
I heard this takes hours.
Can do. Up to 2 hours sometimes. It's designed to be really rigorous, partly to weed out hoaxes quickly. They need specifics.
Like what kind of specifics?
Cardinal points, north, south, east, west, precise trajectory, a clear timeline of events, and altitude estimation, not just it was high, but relative, like it seems level with the top of that 10-story building over there, any maneuvers observed, really detailed stuff.
And they use tools to check these claims.
Oh, yeah. MUFON uses public tools like Flight Radar 24 to check for nearby planes. That knocks out a lot of cases right away.
But GPAN goes further.
They do. Official agencies like GPAN use specialized forensic software. Hipparco was mentioned. It analyzes photos and videos, looking for digital tampering, pixelation artifacts, things like that. It's serious analysis of visual evidence.
Okay, so all that rigor explains 93%. But that leaves the famous, or maybe infamous, 7%. The cases that stay unexplained. What makes them different?
According to the sources, a case stays unknown for basically 2 reasons. One is just a frustrating lack of information.
Like a brief glimpse?
Exactly. I saw a ball of light for 2 seconds behind that building. Not much to go on, right?
Right.
But the second reason, that's where it gets really interesting. Cases where there is comprehensive, detailed data, but that data flat out contradicts known physics or known astronomy or our current level of human technology.
And have the types of things reported in that 7% changed over time?
Definitely. The sources point this out. Back in the 50s, it was all about the classic flying saucer, the Adamski type. Nowadays, modern sightings often involve black triangles strongly linked to that big Belgian wave in the early 90s, and maybe most intriguingly, reports of spheres. Spheres that change color or seem to morph their shape or even divide into multiple parts and then recombine.
Divide and recombine.
Yeah, and the reported maneuvers. They just defy our understanding of aerodynamics. There was one case mentioned, a really compelling one.
Tell me.
A witness driving at night suddenly encounters 3 red lights forming a triangle, hovering completely silently, just 2.5 meters, maybe 7 or 8 feet right above her car.
Silent, that close.
Silent, low, and just hovering. The size, the lack of noise, the impossible physics of it. It defied known aerodynamic principles, known propulsion. That case was classified as 90% unknown.
Just imagine experiencing that. A silent, massive object hanging right over your car. Beyond the sheer strangeness, you have to think about the impact on the witness, the experiencer, as they sometimes call them.
It's profound. Most people, the sources say, just want an explanation. They want to understand what they saw, but the experience itself can be deeply unsettling. Fear, emotional distress.
Or maybe feeling like you've stumbled onto something huge, the discovery of the century.
That too. And MUFON actually acknowledges this psychological impact. They run something called the IRT, the Experiencer Support Team.
What does that involve?
Wisely, they bring in health professionals, doctors, clinical psychologists. They provide moral support, social support for people who report contact or even abductions. They recognize that phenomena like claimed memory loss, paralysis, sensations like electric shocks. These cause real psychological suffering, whatever the ultimate source might be.
It's a surprisingly smooth, maybe slightly chilling leap from that personal distress to the bigger picture, the geopolitical angle. Because these things, UAPs, seem to intersect with military interests and, well, state secrets.
Yeah, the sources consistently note this pattern. UAPs often seem attracted to sensitive military bases and especially nuclear sites.
Kerry Lavodil's observations were mentioned, correlating sightings with nuclear tests. Which leads to a big question, doesn't it?
2 big hypotheses, really. 1, are UAPs somehow detecting radiation, acting like some kind of technological watchdog maybe, trying to prevent human nuclear self-destruction? It sounds like sci-fi, but it's a recurring theme.
And the other hypothesis?
Simpler, maybe. Are these sensitive sites just where we test our most advanced, top-secret prototypes? So naturally, that's where misidentifications or sightings of classified tech would occur most often.
That tension feeds right into the whole disclosure debate, doesn't it? You see this split globally.
Absolutely. On one hand, you have official bodies like GPAN in France, often seen by ufologists as maybe overly focused on debunking, skeptical by default.
But then you look at the U.S., the government releasing those Navy videos, Tic Tac. gimbal, holding actual congressional hearings, former high-level intelligence people like Lou Elizondo getting involved. It's a very different approach.
It really is.
Yeah.
Which raises that fundamental question. If these phenomena are intelligent, maybe non-human, capable of incredible travel, why no open contact? Why the ambiguity?
The sources brought up the zoo hypothesis?
Yeah, it's a classic idea in these discussions. The theory goes that maybe advanced civilizations view us like, well, like we might view fish in an aquarium or snails.
Observe, but don't interfere.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
A strict non-interference policy. Maybe they just check in occasionally.
And the argument against full disclosure often comes down to risk, right? The potential for mass panic or economic chaos if some radical new energy source or propulsion system were suddenly revealed.
Exactly, disrupting everything. So one idea is that maybe public acceptance is being managed very slowly, subtly, perhaps through decades of science fiction, media portrayals, getting us used to the idea.
And underpinning all of this is the mind-boggling scale of time.
It's crucial to remember. Our complex civilization, writing, cities, it's less than 10,000 years old. Human history itself is maybe a couple 100,000 years.
Pocket change in cosmic terms.
Absolutely. Other civilizations, if they exist, could be millions, maybe even billions of years older. The technological gap could be so immense. It makes sense why we see maneuvers that seem impossible to us. Instant acceleration, right-angle turns at hypersonic speeds, stuff that just breaks our current understanding of physics.
Which leaves us with a final, really provocative thought to chew on, based on everything we've discussed.
Okay.
If these hypothetical visitors do possess technology that's potentially millions of years ahead of ours, why the apparent failures? Why do their craft supposedly crash sometimes, the Roswell narrative? Or why do they reportedly interact with relatively primitive Earth technology, like messing with car engines or radios?
That's a fantastic point. It seems paradoxical, doesn't it?
It does. Is their incredible superiority only relative to us? Are they not infallible?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this apparent fallibility, these interactions, these alleged crashes,
Mm-hmm.
are they somehow deliberate?
Deliberately engineered, like maybe leaving behind specific limited artifacts for us to find and study, a way to manage disclosure or intentionally limit how much we understand too quickly.
Exactly. It suggests maybe a very controlled, very nuanced kind of interaction, if that's what's happening. Lots to think about there.
Definitely.
We hope this deep dive into the serious investigation processes at places like MUFON and JPAN has given you a clearer picture. It shows the rigorous effort that goes into trying to solve the UAP mystery. It's not all just speculation. There's a lot of structured data collection and analysis involved. C'était une autre exploration passionnante du phénomène non identifié. Merci de nous avoir rejoints pour cet épisode du podcast de Philippe. Si ce travail vous éclaire, aidez-nous à continuer à éclairer le chemin en nous aidant à atteindre les 1000 abonnés. Nous y sommes presque et chaque abonnement compte.